The bond is anything's connection, its range of relations, and its degree of agreement within its environment. In context to the individual, it's all about how they mesh with the symbolic world, the world of contexts, patterns, and networks, and the individual deeply enmeshed in this world would be what I like to call bond-driven. The first aspect we have is will. Union, sum, totality, gradient, composition. This aspect reflects unified integration devoid of any specifics or distinguished parts. All parts make up the sum, the full complete unit, with all parts being woven together. One can imagine an object broken down into its smallest elements. Though every grain is unique, it's only through their togetherness that affords the nature of that object. And this may extend further out to the totality of all objects. Will encapsulates the interconnectivity of things brought together into a uniform idealized image. And those favoring it often have a strong affinity for broad concepts, big pictures, and holistic visions. When presented with any new person, object, or situation, associations are immediately made, and in this, they can join whatever's in front of them with their hierarchy of pictures and concepts. Until this item is unified with the whole, the individual often cannot truly begin to engage with it. The abstract idea comes before all else. Such people, generally, tend to overgeneralize and neglect details, usually making their statements vague and cryptic. They are prone to grandiosity, delusion, and egocentricity at varying degrees of severity, and frequently dissociate away from the tangible in favor of working with ideas, abstractions, and concepts. But in this, their insights are often penetrating and timely. The abstractions they weave are intricate webs that reach far and wide, often leaving nothing untouched. The patterns they've collected are central to many means of description, and it's no doubt such people will only continue to collect as the meaning of these patterns deepen. Next is harmony. Flexibility, exchange, symmetry, pairing, and polarity. This aspect reflects the availability for synchronization or coordination with things in one's environment. If will is a solidified chain between things, harmony is how much the chain can bend and stretch. One can imagine a tether between two objects. The tether allows for a free flowing back and forth between the two of them. The tether will not only be able to bend more if the length is increased, but it would also better show the differences between the two extremes. And yet, despite the differences, both reflect and respond to each other, locked in a tidal dance. The things that are even, smooth, fluid, symmetrical, gentle, and balanced are what best characterize harmony in one's environment, and generally, those favoring harmony will seek out such atmospheres. Such people, generally, tend to try and maintain good graces between others, even when said others treat them poorly, accommodate others extensively, which eliminates their own boundaries to the point of exhaustion, and are demanding of equal reciprocation, particularly of manners, favors, responses in general, etc. But in this, their civility, humor, and gentle graces are what maintains the coordination, fairness, and morale in any collective they're a part of. Hope, joy, and relief are what they frequently grant and instill in others through their gestures and actions. And it's through these actions that the possibility of all of these things just might last. And lastly, we have resonance. Differences between bonds, gauging similarities and degrees of closeness. It's the awareness of will and harmony, often leaning towards one or the other. To differentiate the two, leaning towards harmony is noticing the balance between extremes and how even their exchanges happen to be. They're prone to point out and engage in the subtle ongoings between people and the steady shifts into different tones and ranges of expression. For example, how others' faces and voices surge with excitement or wane in affection. In this, they'll find moments where their own or others' expressions are not being reflected back, or are significantly different from the other person's. When such encounters end, they have a sense of what each of either party needs, and as givers, they certainly provide. To their friends, a shoulder to cry on, accompanied with a hug and gentle, compassionate soothing, all of which were absent in the situation that warranted sensitivity. And to their enemies, a torrential verbal lashing, deserved but unaccounted for by the friend that was victim to such unruly behavior. Leaning towards will is noticing the similarities between concepts, symbols, meanings, and contexts, and how well they fit together. They often point out how statements, ideas, and even objects and people are enmeshed in broad themes and concepts. Often they're placed in a hierarchy of connections or a set of types and patterns. Great attention and care are paid to what things really mean in their broadest possible context, and with this, they demand cohesion on all levels. Any lack of cohesion is often deemed to be a flaw. Their low tolerance for scattered, disjointed concepts pushes them to have all of their statements, actions, and expressions to mean something. They must be poetic, reflective, minimal, substantial. Everything ever done must be sublime. Everyone uses all three aspects in their day-to-day lives, but they do seem more pronounced in some people more than others. There's far more that can be said about each aspect, how they manifest in each person, how they affect society, and even how they seem to permeate one's environment, affecting their very being as well as their development. But for now, this is where the bond ends, and it's only a mere sample of what is to come.